Welcome to Shorty Supercoach. Going to do another versus series today. This one was mentioned in the comments by Ricky Edwards, I think it was. So thank you, mate. I've jotted a few others down that I'll try and get to. But yeah, if you'd like to see any 2 players, 3 players, 4 players in sort of a similar position, price range, go head to head and dissect them, feel free to comment below. So today, Jarryd Berry and Jye Caldwell. So we'll take a look at those guys in a moment. But yeah, the first night match for Shorty. I don't think I've filmed a video at night yet. So yeah, hopefully the lighting's not too bad and hopefully it's going all right for you. But look, yeah, I just wanted to thank you guys for your support so far. It's only February and I feel as if everything's running really well. You know, great engagement. I'm really getting around all your comments and requests. So yeah, I just wanted to give you guys a shout out and really thank you for your support, because it's probably as passionate as I've been for footy in general. You know, I can't wait to get back to the footy. I've been missing that. But yeah, I know last year I took way longer to get into the videos. So I can't wait to keep churning them out this year. And, you know, if you guys enjoying it, then that makes it even more enjoyable for me. So, and these versus series is something a little bit different as well that I haven't done before. So I think that, you know, adds something a little bit different, and I quite enjoy it, you know, getting stuck into the numbers head-to-head style. So enough waffle. I've got to get to bed soon as well, so I better get stuck into it. But Jarryd Berry, Jye Caldwell. Berry, 268k midfield. Jye Caldwell, 266k midfield. So mid-price options in the midfield, which isn't something I like to do, but it is a pretty interesting matchup. Berry's currently in 10% of sides and Caldwell 11% of sides. So I'll try and do these verses between ones that are, you know, reasonably popular. Therefore, there's a bit of interest, you know, across a broad spectrum. So I'm going to go through them one by one and then give you a bit of a verdict at the end of the video. So Jarryd Berry's a really interesting guy. I think last year just never quite got going. He did suffer some injuries and it was far from his year of 2020. So 2020 is the year that we're all looking at saying, can he get back to that? Because he averaged 97. Outstanding numbers, and sort of caught me off guard, to be honest. Last year, it dropped back to 49. And that was inclusive of game, I think, round 5, where he was off early, and that was his injury. And he missed a fair chunk of the season. So in terms of what I think of Berry as a player, I really like him. Inside mid, doesn't need a stack of the ball to score well, capable of laying quite a lot of tackles. Inside midfielder, and that's the question. Can he find enough inside mid time? Now, my initial thought process was he got pushed out of the centre bounce. You know, wasn't attending as many centre bounces, therefore the numbers dropped. It wasn't actually true. So I love looking at the centre bounce attendances because it gives you an idea of what a team's starting midfield is. And of course, if you're in there, great chance to win the centre clearance. And a flow on is you're probably going to be around the stoppages and the ball ups, around the ground throw-ins, all that sort of stuff. You're part of the, you know, the first choice of 3 or 4, maybe 5 on ballers. You clearly want to be towards the top 3 or 4. Now, Berry, I compared a few numbers. So what changed in 2021? Now, clearances dropped from 2.2 to 1.6. We're comparing 2020 and 2021. Contested possessions was the big one. So his disposals dropped off about 3, 15.9 down to 12.6. But basically all of that came from contested pill. Uncontested didn't change too much. Contested possession dropped from 7 to 4.2. His tackles dropped about, you know, 0.7 per game. So it wasn't drastic. But what was really interesting, I'm thinking, easy. Shorty will just come on and tell you that he didn't go to the centre bounces often. Simple. Not the case. I was really surprised. So in 2020, he attended 34% of the centre bounces. In 2021, if we take away that round 5 or whatever it was where he didn't play a full game, he actually attended 41% of centre bounces in the games that he did play. Now, what is really, really interesting, and that was I think it was round 21. Now, Lachie Neale missed, and I think it was the only game that Lachie Neale missed that Jarryd Berry played. I think that's right. I should have double-checked that. But Berry attended 79% of the centre bounces. How interesting is that? So clearly, he's just a rung off their starting squad, but if one of their main midfield guys goes out, he's right in there. Now, what's interesting is that his numbers of centre bounce attendances, the percentage didn't drop off. It went up, like I just said, but the pecking order at Brisbane has changed in that year. So he's missed some footy, and I feel like he's been pushed aside a touch. So in 2020, who was ahead of him in terms of the centre bounce? Lyons, Neil, Zorko, Cam Ellis-Yeoman was the only other guy, and that was off 8 games. Only other guy in terms of percentages. Rayner, 24, McCluggage, 15. Zach Bailey wasn't even in the centre bounce attendances that I had a look at. What's changed in 2021? Well, Neil's still in front of him. Zorko is still in front of him. That'll probably change. McCluggage moved in front, and we saw a big increase from Bailey. And while I mentioned that Zorko might move out, well, probably Cam Rayner could move right in. So he's potentially gone from, say, 5th in the pecking order to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You could argue 7, depending how much mid-time Rayner and Bailey sort of play. So Bailey, 28% last year. And that's probably only going to go up. Of course, Rayner, there's all the talk that he's going to go into the midfield too. And McCluggage lifted his rating from 15% to 23%. And that was after only spending 7% of time in the centre bounce across the first month. So after that first month, he really spent a lot more time in the centre bounce. What does all this mean? A whole lot of numbers as Shorty's waffling on. You're thinking, God, this bloke's talking about percentages and this and that. What's it all bloody well mean? It means we've got to watch him super close as to how Brisbane structure up their midfield. I probably should have just said that straight away, shouldn't I? But the fact is, when Jarryd Berry plays inside mid, gets more opportunity to lay tackles, do what he does best. He's around the coal face, lay tackles, contested ball. That's his strong suit. Of course, we need to see a good pre-season. We need him to be fit and healthy. And if that's the case, he could definitely be right in there. But I do have major concerns that McCluggage is going to get more time. They like Bailey and Rayner's explosiveness in there. It does worry me that Berry's not an explosive type, and they're trying to enforce a couple of these other guys. Even you could maybe mount the case of Cockatoo. His pace around the ball is exciting people in the pre-season. So where does Berry fit into the mix? That's what we've got to look for. So if you've got any sort of interest in selecting Jarryd Berry, then have him in your team for now if you like. But it doesn't mean anything just yet. There is no guarantees he gets anywhere near that 97 unless we get an indication of what his position is. And we'll need a real clear-cut look that he is back in that centre bounce a hell of a lot more. So I'd have to really assess that through the Pracky games. So that is the number one watch list for anyone who's interested in Jarryd Berry. As for Jye Caldwell, he's sort of same but different. Now, a little bit younger and a bit of a different path as well. We've seen him come over to the Bombers, and last year he was the rage. Shorty went with him. He was available as a forward. Can't remember his price, but I reckon he might have been 360 something. And there was big hype all pre-season was the talk that he's going to land the midfield position that he's been searching for. And he did. He did get it. The pity was, it happened for about 6 quarters. Then he got injured. Only came back in the elimination final. So Jye Caldwell, 266k now, but as it suggests, he is only available as a midfielder now. So makes it a little bit more awkward. He's 21 years old, and like I said, it was cut short last year. So round 1, 22 touches, 9 tackles, only 74 Supercoach, 104 AFL Fantasy, only had the 4 clangers, went at about 63% disposal efficiency. Dunno, not sure how that equates to only 74, but it did. I remember being quite pissed off at the time. He attended 55% of centre bounces, touch over half. Round 2, things are starting to pick up. 10 touches, 3 clearances, 66 Supercoach points. I'm thinking, you're probably saying, Shorty, that didn't pick up too much. Well, don't worry, guys. It happened in about 42% of the game. So I think he went off second quarter, third quarter, something like that. 35% of centre bounces in that time. So again, he was going, to many attendances or many centre bounces. Now, I remember this day clearly. It was a day that I was working, had the radio on, Caldwell got injured, Draper got injured, and the bloke that I didn't go with, that I copped quite a bit of heat from, Zach Butters, scored about 160. I was pretty pissed off that day. I remember thinking, oh, this could be a long year. Oh, it's round 2 and my side's fucked already. But they are his numbers that matter from last year. So what's it all mean? Last year, he was primed for some really good midfield time, get that exposure. Things are looking good. Fast forward to 2021, there's no guarantees for young Jye. He's probably got to do it all again. He's probably got to prove himself once again because he's a young guy. It's not like he just rolls back into the centre bounce because he's been doing it for years. Nah, you got to earn your trade again. McGrath going to play much more consistent footy. I feel like he never quite got going last year. And Dylan Shields probably the big one that we can reference. Interestingly, in 2020, Dylan Shield actually attended 80% of centre bounces, the most for Essendon. I didn't think he would have, but he was their number one guy. A bit different now with Parrish and that. But so, like I said with Jarryd Berry, where does he fall in the pecking order? This is the concern. These guys are midfielders, but how much time are they going to play right in the guts? And how much are they going to be pushed out to a flank? Or be the next rotation? Or be slightly towards the wing, Ball up, you got your big dogs around the ball, and they're the first receiver, or they're just more towards a half-forward flank. That's awkward watching. You want your guy right in the centre bounce, and Lockie Neal and bloody Zach Merritt go, no, cover the sweeper. Do whatever bloody zone and tactic we worked on throughout the week. You're just guarding space, mate. You're defensive. Oh, it kills you. It's not where we want these guys. We want them in there scoring points. They're both good tacklers. We need them around the ball to lay those tackles. Pecking order. Merritt, Parrish, Stringer's in there a lot more now. McGrath, Dylan Shield comes back. There's 5 already. And there's always, a few other bits and pieces that float around. So, I've probably got Caldwell really fighting tooth and nail to get the same numbers he did last year. He's a talented guy. He's a really good prospect, a young player that's on the up. So he'll get opportunity, but there's got to be some concern. So they are the numbers for both guys. So if you're assessing them, the big difference between them is that Berry's done it before. He's averaged good numbers. Caldwell's probably trending a bit more up. Berry's probably hit a bit of a plateau in his career. Injury concerns. Same can be said for Caldwell with the injuries. Now, in terms of a verdict, I don't like either of them too much. Someone requested it. A few people mentioned these guys' names. I thought I'd do it, but I don't like either of them too much. I'll tell you why. I don't like sort of mucking around with these awkwardly priced guys in the midfield. I'd much rather take this type of a risk in the forward line, which we're seeing with Rayner, Cornelio, and Will Brodie. So we're seeing that. Reason being, midfield, we have such higher expectations as to what's a good result. So many points on offer with our elite players through the midfield. It's much easier to become a keeper in the forward line, or the back line for that matter, just like Jack Zeeble did, or you know what I mean? So, in essence, your chances of saving yourself a trade and one of these guys turning it on and being a keeper or a really positive stepping stone, much easier down forward. So, I prefer to take those risks in the forward line. If you are considering these guys, I've probably, said no thank you. But if you are considering them, you've just got to sit back and watch the full pracky game, or run your eye over some serious stats as to how they're playing the game. How is Essendon setting up? How's Brisbane setting up around the ball, around the centre bounce? Are these guys going to get the opportunities that you need them to get to score you decent points? Because they're cheap, they're unders, they're definitely better players than where they're priced at, and they'll average way better than what last year produced for them. So they're unders, and they definitely warrant a fair bit of interest. They're not my cup of tea. They're not floating my boat. Look, Charlie Constable's about 60, 50k cheaper. I'll be really interested to watch him. And then at 207k is Jason Horne-Francis. So he's going to be in most teams, rightfully so. So that's a bit of a wrap in terms of how I see it. I wish I could tell you that one of them was really lighting my fire, but they're just not. So it'll be a really interesting watch. But for those out there who are interested, just watch their pracky games really closely. It's a bit of a boring answer, but you just got to find out. You just got to see, and you'll know pretty soon. You'll know pretty soon. But they've got to get inside that rotation and hopefully stay fit. But yeah, look, I'll wrap that one up. We've got a bit of a longer one today, so hopefully you've stuck with me throughout. But I'm probably going to call it and jump into bed, I think. Got study tomorrow. This one will probably come out on Monday or Tuesday, but big week ahead. I hope you guys are kicking some goals this week. I'll certainly be punching out some videos throughout the week as well. But thanks for tuning in. Like I said off the top, if you have any players you'd like me to compare and run an eye over, feel free to comment them below and I'll look to get stuck into that. And as always, if you want to give the video a like, I'd love you to. If you've enjoyed it, give me your feedback in the comments. And as always, if you haven't subscribed already, I'd love you too, because it's a good indication of sort of how the channel's going and that type of thing. And I personally get a bit of kick out of seeing the numbers go up. It's good. I certainly I sort of feel like, people out there are watching, which, makes me want to do more and more videos. So I better get some shut eye. I'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers.